Alright, so this is going to be quite interesting. So it seems to be we have sort of the count for the amount of lines for each character in the Ninjago Dragons Racing Season 3 Part 1. This is interesting because I've never seen someone actually count the amount of lines characters say in a TV show. In a movie, yes. Definitely when Avengers Endgame had come out, you got to see how long each character literally was on screen time for. Funnily enough, a lot of that surprised me. Majority of the characters are on the screen for half an hour to an hour. The movie's 3 hours. So you'd think that they're on screen for 3 hours, or close to 2. But that's wrong. But anyhow, let's talk about the line count. So Eren gets 231, while Sora gets 214, which is understandable. They are the main characters technically of the new series, and they'll be definitely going through a lot of flashbacks. Apparently Lloyd has 130 lines. I don't know. I don't know. When it means lines, it's like a full-on dialogue. So if, for example, the monastery was beautiful today. Master Wu, I wish he was here. It is so upsetting that he caused the merge. And then another character will speak. That was one dialogue. So, one line. So, that's interesting. Same with Nia. She gets 126. Zhang gets 124. You'd think he'd be closer to Lloyd. But hence not. Frack is 116. Lord Raz is close to him, behind by 114 lines. And Kai is 109. Okay, so that's interesting because I feel like when a character speaks in an episode, it's at least close to 100. So, I don't know. So take these all as a grain of salt. Remember, this isn't screen time, this is lines, dialogue that they'll speak. So this is just very interesting. The next couple of ones will be odd, but yeah. So, Wildfire will have apparently 87 lines, which makes sense because majority of the season she's going to be with Roby. Pixel gets 42, which is surprising, and not far behind her is Ericor. Now, also not far, as one of the returning characters returning, apparently Moro will be returning with 46 lines. Interesting. Now, I'm presuming Moro will only be there for an episode. A shame, but understandable, right? Hopefully he does make a return in part 2. I feel like that was the original plan because the big Destiny's Bounty set that's coming out in June was supposed to give us a Moro in that set. So it'd be disappointing if we do not get Moro again in season 3 part 2. Imagine he joins Ninja. That'd be pretty cool, right? Roby gets 58 lines, which makes sense. I feel like we've only seen already like 2 or 3. J/Rogue, which we'll get back into a bit later, only having 23 lines. Cole has 10 lines, which makes sense. He's apparently not going to be there for much. And majority of his dialogue, you guessed it, is most likely a Floyd. So, a shame. Dareth gets 5, while Master Wu gets 1. I hope that is ghost form, not like... what's the word? Going back in past tense. Because that would be a shame. 100%. Let's go talk more about J/Rogue's lines, because we got part 2's ones as well. Now, I spoke last week about descriptions that came out for part 2, and it showed that Jay was going to be in the first couple episodes talking to the rest of the ninja. Now, just remember, we have 23 lines in season 3, part 1, and we have seen Jay following Ninja, talking to Zetrix. These slight cameos of him wandering around, not talking, doesn't mean screen time. Because, yeah, I think Jay's going to have a lot of screen time. Yes, 100%. We have seen stuff where he isn't talking. He is definitely, majority of the time, going to talk in flashbacks, 100%. But when he's going after Lord Raz and Eren, I don't think so. But still, the case that we have here... we have 150 lines in episodes 11 to 14. Yikes, that's already a lot more than what Lloyd had in our whole season. So just remember to take these all as a grain of salt, yeah? But it is highly funny that this... Anyhow, allegedly in part 2, Jay's supposed to have a big role with the ninja, which makes sense. He's finally back on the team, right? Or not. We'll have to see how season 3 plays out, but still, that's very interesting that he's going to have 150 lines by time the first episode of part 2 comes out, and by the middle of part 2's out, he should have 150 lines. So I'm just going to say double it, and he'll have 300 lines by end of season 3. He will have done a lot more talking, and will be like, yep, he was in every episode of Dragons Rising so far. Alright, so villains will shock you. Rux gets 63 lines, head of the Forbidden Five. Thunderfang gets 41, which is a little shocking to me. I thought like up to 60. If Rux is 63, I was hoping Thunderfang would be up there. Noct 18, which is definitely a downgrade from what we got last season. But hence, Zark, Tio, and Drix, they get from 12 to 6 lines. And same with Kerr. Oh, God. You'd think that these new villains would have more lines. Zark having 12 makes sense, because he's the one that has all that... not deceased power, but he has that effect where he can create misfortune. Yeah, he would love to talk about that. Tio having 8, it seems to be a bit, in my opinion, I'm just going to outright say it, shit. If the leaks and rumors are true that he is an Elemental Master, I think this is a whole heap of bullshit. If an Elemental Master similar to the Master of Amber cannot think, what's the point in having them here? But hopefully he doesn't have that element, and hopefully he's not really the leader, right? Drix has 6 lines. Makes sense, it's the weakest member has no lines, really. And Kerr makes sense because he seems, in my opinion, to be the silent type. But we'll have to see. Zetrix has 5 lines, which makes sense. We've seen her make the deal with Jay. So, yeah. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts about these lines. Remember, these aren't all 100% true, but most likely to none. I believe majority of this because Zetrix... Why would Zetrix be... Could you imagine if Zetrix is in the final battle? Do you believe that? No. So, it does make sense, and it does, like, Aaron and Sora's make sense to be higher than the rest of Ninja, because they do have definitely flashbacks this season. So, I don't know. If Master Wu's dialogue was higher, like, say, 10, I would say the Ninja should all have higher dialogues, but... It's very hard to understand why this is all playing out when you look at dialogues. Majority of these are for part 1. Only part 2 one was for the J one that I did point out. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, guys.